verse form. And I think by mistake in the last class couple of times, because I was most likely referring to the Aparuksha Anubhuti Tika by Vidyaranya Muni, I may have mentioned here the Tika which is given in this book is actually by Sri Ramatirtha Yatiraja, Ramatirtha. So he's one of the Vedanta commentators, and the commentary's name is Manoranjani. So this is something, it's very academic, that's why, because it's for the ones who are already initiated for being into Vedanta, and he's giving an additional commentary enriching their understanding of the Vedantic texts, summarized here in the form of Vedanta Sara. So it's very interesting, but we would not be getting into all the details. We'll only have good attention paid to whatever is relevant for our context, because obviously they could do a bit of hair splitting going forward. So the first verse we had discussed at what is the need for Mangalacharana. We all know it, because we want to sort of keep all the vignas or the obstacles at bay, and then ensure that the book that we have started to study, we are able to finish it without any kind of distraction or hardship or any kind of problem. And whom are we worshipping? He's saying generally the practice is, when you do the Mangalacharana, you generally remember deities like Ganeshji or maybe Ma Saraswati, because you are doing Vidya Sadhana. But you are directly here invoking Akhandam Satchidanandam. Why? How can you at all connect with the Nirupadhika Brahman? Nirupadhika means without name and form. Upadhi is always, in very simple terms, name and form. Some kind of a superimposition, adhyasa. So, how can you invoke the Nirupadhika Brahman? Obviously, here Nirupadhika Brahman would refer to the ultimate Atman. Atmanam. He's saying that Brahman, which is also Atmanam. And in Atma, all gods and goddesses are included, because the Brahman, having assumed name and form, appears as Devis and Devatas. They are not independent, they are not separate from Parameshwara. The same Parameshwara Tattva, he creates Brahmaji in the Hiranyagarbha. As per the Shastras, different deities are kind of aspects of the Hiranyagarbha. The Karya Brahma. Karya Brahma means what? The first product. So he is the first product of Ishvara. Then he creates it. Sometimes this word Mahad Brahma we had referred to in Bhagavad Gita. There the reference word to that Prakriti, through which the creation starts, Mahad Brahma. So Akhandam Satchidanandam. Why the word Satchidananda? Sat, you remember why we use it? Because you can also have non duality in the form of Mahasunya, like in Buddhism, or even Abhava or absence. No, we are not referring to it. We are referring to something which exists, Sat. Chit, is it Jadavarga? No, it's not about Jadavarga, it's not about the materiality of the universe unified into one element or one fact. We are talking about Chaitanya, we're talking about consciousness. And why Ananda? Ananda is also that blissfulness. Is it Ananda of the person who has Ananda? Is somebody who is very happy? The Ananda is there in Parameshwar. Therefore, we call him Sachidananda. That interpretation we have also refuted. The Paramatma Tattva is verily Ananda itself. There is Ananda in God. No, there are other people also having Ananda. Human beings also feel very elated. Animals also feel very elated when you offer them the right kind of food which they want. Therefore, Ananda cannot be separate from the Sachidananda Tattva. And he's saying, can we get him? You want to meditate on him? So I'll put a deity of Sachidananda Brahman and worship it? He says no. Why is it? It is Avang Manaso Gosharam. It cannot be apprehended, captured, known, accessed through the senses we have, whether through the karmendriya, vak sakti, we cannot describe it, and manas, the sixth sense, or you have all the other indriyas. Gochara means vishayam. It's not an object of perception, it's not object of knowledge. What is it? It's beyond that. That means you have to do vichara. So verily he's making it very clear that we are bowing down to that tattva, we are bowing down to that fundamental reality, that truth, that supreme reality, which cannot be accessed through the senses, through any easy means of knowledge. How do you know about it? No, the only way to know about it is Shastra Pramana. There is no other way you can know about it. You have to read the Upanishads and you get a hint and then do Vichara. Then you get it because it's not different from you. It's about Atma, it's about us. But there's a lot of literature. And then you meditate on it, you analyze it. Adhar Adharam Asraye. I take refuge in it. I bow down to it. Why should I do it? Abhishta Siddhaye, because I want to fulfill my aspiration. And what is that? That is for moksha. And the details I'll not go because I have already done it. We also already have two classes on it. Now, in the going forward, he's saying, what is it that you are doing? The next one, he bows down to the Guruji. Parameshwar is done. So अर्थोतोप्य द्वयानंदान अतीत द्वैतभानतः Gurun Aradhya Vedanta Saram Vakshe Yathamati. This is verse number 2. Is also in poetic meters. So he's saying, I'm now bowing down to my teacher. What's the name of the teacher? Advayananda. So, you say that Sumanohara, Manohar Lal. That is the name. And who's the person? Is an extremely cruel, rude guy. He's not Manohara. He's somebody who's going to hurt you. He's not Manohara. But he has a name like that. But here he's saying Arthataha Api. He's really he's like that. There is no gap or duality between what the word Advayananda stands for and what the person who bears that name is like in terms of his knowledge, his attitude, his realization. Therefore, he's saying, how is it possible? Advayananda, that Advaya Vastu is Atma, and his Advayananda is that blissfulness because he's Atmarata, is established in that. How is it possible? He's saying, because Atita Dvaita Bhanataha, he has surpassed the perception of reality in dual form. Is gone beyond that state where we are stuck with duality, right? This is mine, that's yours. This is a person, this is this country, that is that country. We take the diversity and the duality for real. Then we know that all these has one adhisthana, one fundamental substratum. What is that? The Brahman. Once we know this, the details do not trouble us, distract us. During Vyavahara, of course, you would miss a bus and feel a little bad. Somebody might say something very hurtful or unkind to you. You'd be stuck for a moment. Why did he have to say this to me? These things might happen. But at the deepest corners of your heart, you are fully enlightened and you know who you are. You have full faith in the words of the Shastras, the scriptures, the Upanishads. You know about that Atma Tattva. The details might appear to trouble you, but you would not be troubled by them. You will not be affected by them. Whether you are given a cause to be elated or you are given a cause to be depressed, you will not be affected by them. And why so? Because you have that firm belief and complete realization of what that ultimate fundamental reality is. So you are in a state of undisturbed, uninterrupted equanimity. You have that. That's your reality. And that's what you are. You're fully liberated. Jivanamukta. Then he's saying Gurun Aradhya, that Guru who is Advayananda, Sabdataha, Arthataha, Api. That Advayananda, that means he's trying to, we do the prayer every morning, isn't it? Ishvara Guru Ratmeti. That Paramatatva appears as Ishvara, as Atma, as Guru. These dualities are very apparent, they are not very real. Murti Bheda Vibhagini, we say this. He's saying Gurun Aradhya, that fundamental reality, who is now my Guru, I'm worshipping, I'm doing Aradhana. Vedanta Saram Vakshe. Vakshe means I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to speak. How Yathamati. That means there are two ways to look at it, because we had that sloka. Like a fish which may be swimming at great depths of the ocean, how much water can it drink? What it can consume, that only, that much only it can consume. There was this joke, somebody was telling, very interesting story. So there was a watchman, and he won a lottery. When he won a lottery, what happens to him? He goes and he says, "What happens to you?" He said, "I've got $1 million. So what are you going to do?" He says, I'm going to buy a house." And then what do you do? "I'll buy a car and I'll set up a garden around and everything. I'll buy a bike also." He went on mentioning, "I'll buy dresses for me." And he could only show projected expenditure of about, roughly about 20% of what he has won. He has won a lottery for $1 million. Then what should he do? He said, I'm a watchman, so I have my whistle, because I say that to alert people at night. So I'll whistle around at night and keep an eye on my wealth. That's all. Because the limit of his imagination is what he can execute. He cannot go beyond the limit of his imagination. That happens to all of us. Depends on what kind of consciousness, what kind of vision we have. So what he's saying, Yathamati. I may be sitting with Advayanandaji, who is self-realized, who is vastly wise, but the fish consumes only a tiny bit of water at the depth of the ocean. Even if he's able to swim there, he drinks only a very little amount of water. Similarly, whatever the Acharya or the Guru has taught to me, it's not that I'm able to translate everything into words while writing Vedanta Sara. Vedanta Sara, he's not writing something from his mind. He has mentioned it very clearly. We have discussed it. It is a summary, a gist of the main Sangraha Vakyas in the Upanishads. Sangraha Vakyas are the main statements, like Tattvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi, the Mahavakyas. The Sangraha Vakyas are there in different chapters in the Upanishads, which are compiled in the Vedanta Sutra or Sararika Sutra that we mentioned yesterday. And he's saying that I am going to discuss that as much as I have been able to understand. That's one interpretation. Yathamati could also mean the way I have been taught. That means I am not disrespectful to the parampara. I'm going to give you an account of what Vedanta stands for, what it is, through this book, very much within the scope, in the domain, the space, whatever the terms of discourse as they call it, the terms of discourse as it is adhered to in the non-dualistic Vedantic tradition, Advaita Vedanta tradition. That is what he's mentioning. I'm going to tell you. And there was a bit of discussion as to why to have Guru Aradhana. Is it because of fear of a competitor or a challenger? You are seeking, protection. He says no, because this is very important to take this. And then we have discussed the details of it. I'm not going into it. Now the third verse starts like this: Vedanta Namo Upanishad Pramanam Tad Upakarini Sariraka Sutradini Cha. That is how it starts, the statement. And what is he going to say here? He's saying Vedanta Nama. What is this Vedanta? Vedanamanta. So the last part of the Vedas, the total number of mantras or the verses in the Vedas are about 100,000. Right now, how many are available is somewhere between 32 to 33,000 you can find out. Where have the rest gone? They're saying they are not available during Kali Yuga. They are not required by people. Maybe in Satya Yuga, after another round, maybe they would be available. People will make use of it. Right now, they are not in vogue. They are not in, anybody, anyways, not even, doesn't even remember what is available. What has been codified, given by different sakhas to their next generation, what is retained, that's what we have. Out of these, roughly about 4,000 mantras or verses are what is Upanishadic, out of 1 lakh. The rest of it, you know, there are upasanas out of 100,000, upasanas about 16,000. So only 1/5 of the verses are about upasana and vichara, jnana sadhana. The rest of them are about different injunctions for karma kandas. Where does karma kanda take you? Maybe Swargaloka, Pitriloka. How long? Yeah, it will take you depending on how much punya you have done. When the cash you have gets exhausted, you cannot stay in a hotel. Same way, you go up, your punya is exhausted, you come back. So the upasana kandas take you the devalokas. That is the archi marga, northerly direction. We have done that in Bhagavad Gita. And karma kandas take you in the south direction. Where do you go? Pitruloka, Swarga, all that. You some felicity is given to you. When that is over, that period of felicity or luxury or privilege is over, thrown back onto earth, then reborn based on another calculation of the Sanchita karma we have calculated, and they will make an analysis. Next birth, this guy is going to experience this much. That set of karmas which are responsible for the next birth is prarabdha. They will continue to give the phala even if you have jnana, that we have discussed. That jnana destroys all karma means it destroys only sanchita and agami karma, not prarabdha karma. What is this Upanishad word? Upanishad word, in very brief terms, the commentator Ramatirthaji Yati tells Upanishad Sabdo Brahmatmaikya Sakshatkara Vishaya Brahma Atma Brahma Tattvamasi Tat Ayam Atma Brahma Prajnanam Brahma. These words are there, Mahavakyas. The Anvaya is very simple. Ayam Purushaha, Ayam Brahma is Atma. Atma is the Pratyak Atma that we have, is discussing that. Two words here, Brahmatmaikya, the Pratyak, the Jiva, the Pratyak Chaitanya, and the Satta Swarupa, Sachidananda Swarupa Paramatma. That's why the same Atma, the Chaitanya, is becoming Jiva and gods and everything, and finally that Paramatma, Upadhi Bhedena, because the designations are different. Level of superimposition is different depending on what is the superimposition, what is the adhyasa. What appears depends on this adhyasa. So there is a rope lying, or there is a red electric table lamp, the bulb is burning. There's a little boy goes who is very hungry. He thinks it's an apple. A guy who is about 6 7 years and is too much into sports, he thinks it's a red ball, he wants to play with it. There's an engineer who immediately thinks, what is it? Maybe it's a bulb. He has understanding of electricity. So each person will ascribe to the same thing different you know, words, different concepts, and different realities, and would understand that fact as X, Y, Z, depending on what is his condition, what he wants, what's his level up, and what is the adhyaropa, what is the superimposition. The rope is there. Somebody sees a snake, somebody sees a python, somebody sees a king cobra, somebody sees a rattlesnake. The rope is there. Somebody sees a rope. Somebody sees something else other than the snake. These are all adhyaropas. Adhyaropa. Something is superimposed on something. The chit, Chidekarasa, the Brahman, the Jada Varga that we see in Sansara is Adhyaropita, superimposed on that. This reality appears to be real. Which reality? The phenomenal reality. What is actually real? That pure consciousness. Why can't we see it? Can we see it? Like, you are dealing with different computer windows, and what is the substratum all that you see on the computer screen? It's all binary 0101. Whatever picture you're looking at it, what is the reality of it? 0101. Similarly, that consciousness, the Brahman, that is true. But if you look at 0101, you will not be able to deal with anything. You have to look at the superimposed reality as real, then only it's easy for you to deal with it. You can do coding, you can open a window, you can close a window. Similarly, phenomenal reality, even though ultimately it's that pure consciousness, we take the fun, this reality as it is to be able to deal with our lives. So he's saying Upanishad means what? That Sakshatkara realization, Upa Samipya, Ni Nischayatmaka Sad Sadayati. What does it do? Upanishad. There are three, four ways in which this has been made some sense of. One is that if a person who thinks sansara saratamatim, there is a person who thinks yahi sansar sab hai, is too much obsessed. This Brahma Sakshatkara lightens it, reduces the hold of sansara on us. It also does another thing. What is Shreya, which is not Preya? What is Shreya? What is in our interest, which is helpful? It makes you aware of it. What is that near real nature of yourself? Gamayati iti. What? Pratyag Atmanam Sadayati Gamayati. It tells you about it. That's why it's Upanishad. And finally, what? All the pain and agonies of life. What are the cause of the agonies you have studied also in Bhagavad Gita and other texts? Ajnana, Mula Jnana, the original ignorance, which is Anadi. Just imagine it helps you to vanquish it, remove it. So, removal of Ajnana also happens through Brahma Sakshatkar, that Upanishad. But if that is the case, why do you have a name called Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Katha Upanishad? You are referring to certain texts as Upanishads. I said yes. How is that possible? This Brahma Sakshatkara happens by reading and meditating on these texts. So we also refer to these texts as Upanishads. Not a problem. Okay? So that is absolutely not a problem. And then he's saying Upanishad. That alone is the proof. Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramana. That is the Pramana, Pramakaranam. How do you know anything? You know by means of knowledge. What are the means of being aware of that Atma Tattva? That is what is being explained. That is the Upanishads. Reading the sacred texts, meditating on them, you are able to access the cryptic secrets which are hidden through very limited words in cryptic ways in the Upanishads. That they are the Pramanam. Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramanam. So Vedanta refers to what? The Pramanas available through words in the Upanishads, the books. Pramanam and Tad Upakaranani. Vedanta Upakaranani, tools for understanding Vedanta, the message of the Vedas. What are the tools? He's saying Like Bhagavan Sankara Bhashya, Bhagavan Sankaracharya's commentary on the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads and all that. Upakaranani, Karana, Upakarana, Karana, Upa, which is associated with near it in that sense. All tools, associated tools. What are these? The mostly is the Sariraka Sutra Adini. Sutra Adi. There are other things included. What is this? Sankara Bhashya or the other books commentaries. These are what helps you. They are the means of you becoming self-realized. That's a long journey. Starts with what? Understanding the theoretical aspects. You want to be a scientist, you have to first have the understanding of the basic principles, the derivations that you do in the class, theory class. Then you enter the lab and you do some experiments and you meditate on it. You have intuition, you have revelation, you capture some insight of yours in the form of a paper, right? And then you meditate on it and you have a higher understanding of the same chapter, the same truth, which you have read in the books. But now you are somebody different. You have you have entered into that reality at a very deeper, subtler plane of your understanding, of your consciousness. These are all relative levels of self realization. To start with, you must have heard your friends say, मेरा तो ये कहना है, मेरा तो ये सोचना है, मेरे हिसाब से. They have all levels of understanding. And then the more and more they travel forward, the more and more they access the inner secrets of the truth, they realize that what I thought yesterday is perhaps less relevant than what I need to focus on today. And the understanding is getting intensified, getting subtler, simpler, and ultimately you become aware of yourself. And Vedanta, the set of words you are reading, the books, they become irrelevant. We have to drop. He's saying do sansara tyaga. And then the means you to do sansara tyaga or to study, you will dump it. Like you buy a lot of books and you study all that, and then you get a PhD seat and you're going somewhere. They allow 20 kilos. You're traveling normal, you're not traveling business class. You're allowed 20 kilos plus 7 kilos or whatever, depending on what airlines you are taking. So what do? You take all your books? No. You have maybe a pen drive or something. You carry what's relevant. Earlier you didn't have any pen drive or anything. Huh? These things are now. You are not carrying anything heavy, but you can carry a lot of information. That was not true earlier. It was all in black and white and printed matter. So there was a limitation to what we could carry. All the shastras you drop, you are all the time in Jivan Mukta Avastha. Do they read? No. They drop everything. And the ultimate thing, in Vedanta, that's what they say, the Vedas, everything, they are a lie only. Ultimate truth is only Brahman. Nothing else is true. Neither the shastras, nor the religions, nor the gods and goddesses are they lies. Really? No, no. I'm trying to explain to you. When you reach that highest peak, the stones, the pebbles, the trees, the animals that you see at lower levels, they are no more visible. That's how it is. Therefore, he mentions that you go to ultimate Vedanta thing. And then he just concludes in that verse number 3, and there's a long commentary in it. Asya Vedanta Prakaranatvad Tadyair Eva Anubandhehi Tadvatta Siddher Nate Prathak Alochaniyaha. What is the meaning of the sentence? He's saying, look here, this book I'm writing is titled as what? Vedanta Sara. Is it different from Vedanta? It is a summary of what is available in the Upanishads. It is not a new work that I would have to give you Anuvandha Chatushtaya separately. What is Anuvandha Chatushtaya? You know. We'll have some discussion on it. So he's saying that whatever is the Anubandha for the Vedanta texts, for the Upanishads, the same things are to be considered as applicable to what we are doing. There's no need for separately giving you a theory or separately giving you. So no need for any separate discussion on the Vedanta Anubandha Chatushtaya for them. That is all that they are saying. Okay, and now the second thing that is mentioning here is that Tatra Anubandha, that in Vedanta, in the Upanishads, what is in the Vedanta? What is Anubandha? Nama Adhikari Vishaya Sambandha Prayojanani. What are these? Earlier, generally, Vishaya, Prayojana, Adhikari, Sambandha is now starting with first is he's taking Adhikari, who is capable, who can understand it. Generally, what happens is that this is the subject. If they advertise for a coursework, what do they say? This is the course. Look for exciting careers. These days, if they are offering you some course, how do they advertise in the websites, in the Facebook, anywhere, social media, newspaper, electronic media? They start with the prayojana because they are marketing. Oh, really? Did you think of being a millionaire? Okay, you need to know about the stock market, and we are the ones who are offering you a quick PG diploma in portfolio management. What portfolio management deals with, they will mention. Who can do it, they don't give too much importance. Why? They don't want to stop anybody from joining. They want money from all. They would say anybody who has done any simple graduation or even plus two can join. They will mention all that they offer. Sambandha. We have excellent teachers, we have libraries, we have internships. Pratipadya Pratipadaka Sambandha. So they would mention all this. Bodha Bodhaka Sambandha. Bodha is understanding. Bodhaka is what explains. What is the Bodhaka? The Shastra we are studying. I mean, very interestingly, these things are not part of our education, which is heavily influenced because of colonialism by the Western intellectual tradition. Generally, any book which was written, they used to look at this Anubandha Chatushtaya. Now, the teacher here, the Shastrakara here, starts with the word Adhikari. Why? No, because he doesn't want to sell this course, Vedanta. He's saying if you have the eligibility, you have the right attitude, you have the right aspiration, you qualify for it, you're welcome. Otherwise, it will not make any sense to you. That means obviously he knows it's not going to be very popular. It's meant for somebody who's a mumukshu. He wants liberation. He's sadhana chatushtaya sampanna. He has this viveka vairagya, samadhamadi satka sampati, and mumukhyutvam. And therefore, he qualifies for it. Therefore, it's meant for him. It's not meant for all. Adhikari and Vishaya is about Atma, and Sambandha, about Bodha Bodhaka Sambandha. And we had some discussion it. And there is a lot of hair splitting in the commentaries here. Who can actually do these Vedanta course? Somebody who is a brahmachari, is a grihastha, who can do it? Who can take sannyasa? There are a few discussions here. To start with, there is a mention that anybody who is born with three debts. All of us are born with three debts. What is this? Jayo mano vai brahmana tribhi rinavan jayate. So, there are these three debts that we have. So, brahmacharyena rishibhyah yagyena devebhyah pradaya pritibhyah evava anno yaha putri yajva brahmachari vasti. So, the statement says that whosoever is born, he has to repay three debts. What is this? Especially if he's a dvija, like, he's born in that intellectual class where he has to study and read and stuff like that. So he has three debts, especially I have told you, sociologically, the words Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, historically they meant something. Today, essentially, we're referring to whether it's intellectual class, whether they are in administration, or they are in business and entrepreneurship. Who are most prosperous today? As per Shastras, the Sudras, those are professional class. So we have to dissociate the sociological intent from the historical fact. Otherwise, you will get confused. So he's saying these people have three dates. You have to have brahmacharya, patana patana, adhyayana, adhyapana. By doing this, you get rid of rishirina. That is a debt to the acharyas. If you don't study and if you don't take it forward, you have the acharyas not happy with you. You belong to that acharya parampara. What is the next one? Yagyena devebhya. You have devarina. By doing yagya and sacrifices, devatas are happy. They bless you because you have a rina by because they have blessed you to have this human life. And finally, what? So prajaya pitrubhya, your parents are happy when you have one child. Okay, the bloodline is safe, and then you take care of the family and everything. You do sadha and tarpana everything because only you do. You are not married. You don't have children even if you're married. Pitris are not happy. You remember that story which came in the newspapers. One guy in Maharashtra filed a case against his child saying, I educated this guy, he's an engineer, married for 10 years, I don't have a grandchild, he should return all the money I've invested in him. Why? Grandparents are very curious, they're very lonely, they want a grandchild to talk to. More so, they want to protect their bloodline. These are traditional beliefs. Whether we believe it or not, these are what the texts say. Now, if you do Runa Parihara, then you will take sannyasa. That means after Grihastha. But Shastra also says that from Brahmacharya, directly you can take sannyasa. You don't have to marry. Why? There is a statement saying the day you have very strong vairagya, you can directly leave. Yad ahareva virajet, tad ahareva pravarjet. The day you have complete detachment, you can go. So these academic questions, we'll take it up and we'll move forward tomorrow. Let's do the Santi Mantras quickly. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Sri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om Tat Sat. Have a good day. We'll meet again tomorrow.